Many sequels, especially in horror, have been gimmicky, less inspired, watered down, released just to score a few extra bucks, but some do manage to surprise us and give us more than the original film provided. Here are some horror sequels that I think are better than the original. For more movie-related content, make sure to like, follow, and comment. Which horror sequels do you think are better than the original? I really enjoyed the original Evil Dead, despite the lacking budget and acting. It still packed a punch, but the first sequel added so much more personality. It was campier, for sure, but it still provided thrills and laughs and helped to skyrocket Bruce Campbell to legend status. And the 2013 remake is also great and much grittier. Technically, it's a prequel, but I still want to give it its credit. It wouldn't have taken much to top the horrendous 2014 Ouija movie that does just about everything wrong. And this movie is flawed as well, kind of riding a thin line between scary and comical with some of the effects, but it's miles better than the first, and with some memorable shots that still stick with me. This may be controversial, I don't know, but I enjoyed The Conjuring 2 better than the first. And I really enjoyed both films. And it's the only two films in this universe that I really care for personally. I was just more invested in the story, and it has some more inventive scares and visuals. I'm naming the fourth installment in the Friday the 13th franchise as it is my favorite, but I would also place Part 2 and Part 6 above the original, which I still don't hate as much as many other people do, but the fourth to me just feels like it encapsulated the spirit of the franchise the best. It really ramped up the intensity, the kills were decent, the pacing was solid. It would have been a sufficient final chapter if the franchise had truly ended there. I don't love any of the Purge movies. The first in particular was a huge letdown. The second installment, though, was about as good as it got for me. I liked the way they took it out of the single location, there was some fun action, and Frank Grillo's character, while maybe a bit cliched, was fun to watch, especially with that mansion scene. House of a Thousand Corpses had an interesting idea, but to me, had way too many baffling stylistic choices that just didn't work. But The Devil's Rejects is an odd one to like, but have fun with these characters. They are not relatable or admirable in any way or anything like that, but they're strangely fun to watch, and I think a lot of that comes down to the charismatic cast. It's brutal and not such a tryhard in that editing department. Now, I know these films aren't great, you could even objectively argue that they're not very good either, but I love found footage horror films, and I do like the Paranormal Activity franchise as a whole. I like the history in this one, of the infamous Katie character and her childhood. The story they tried to uncover here was one of the more interesting ones, plus some of the scares are better, particularly in that final act. Just a great twist. If you want more movie-related content like this, give me a like, a follow, comment which horror films had sequels that were better than the original.